Hey there. Welcome to our Transformation Tuesday live. We are live on Facebook and LinkedIn, possibly a few other platforms. So, today I'm going to talk to you about this total dream that I had. It's absolutely not random. I think that it is a message for us all. I invite you to stay to the end because we're going to do some theta healing and some activation at the end and kind of see how we're gonna work through this process because it was a big dream. And here with me today is my friend, and I don't know, are we a co-conspirator on this today? I don't know, Andy. That word came to my mind, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. We're gonna go with it. Anyway, Andy is here to share with me this whole process. So I'm gonna jump right into it because when I have dreams, they are not always prophetic, but oftentimes they are. And so I'm going to tell you about this dream, and it goes back to it brings up my Red Cross days. And so I was a volunteer with the American Red Cross for 30 years in 3 different states. And this started in the late 80s with the flood in Grand Forks, North Dakota, where I was going to college. And so my husband was the Boy Scout leader, and he had his scouts fill in sandbags. And ironically, they were in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. His North Dakota group was and the governor came, and so they got to meet the kids, and it was a big PR thing, and it was awesome. But then as the flood waters were continuing, they were going to need to open some shelters, and they really needed a shelter nurse at the time. And Jeff's like, well, she's an EMT. Let's bring her in. And so that was my indoctrination into the American Red Cross. So I was the shelter nurse. And then I continued with the training and all of the other things that brought us into what all I did for the Red Cross. So we did the shelter training, the shelter nurse training. Then we became part of the disaster assistance team. And with that, we would be notified when there was a local disaster that could be a single family fire, could have been tornadoes, if there were, floods and other things like that. And we would be activated to go in, assess the situation, and provide individuals with mostly it was vouchers. They could stay at the hotel and different things. And when I last left the Red Cross, it came down to it. It almost felt horrible because the assistance we were providing basically for a single individual was about $300 worth of assistance. That would provide you with food, grocery, meal vouchers, lodging, but ideally that was to get you through 3 days until your insurance kicked in. So that's the crux of how I was involved with the American Red Cross. And of course, that later went into where I was teaching. I taught CPR and first aid for 26 years.
Oh, wow.
They also got me to teaching the kiddos courses. So I taught BAT, which was basic aid training for children under the age of 13. I taught the babysitter course, and I did some ergonomics for office settings and different things. So I did a lot of stuff with the Red Cross for a long time. And I'm not doing that anymore. And I haven't been with the Red Cross for several years now. And this dream, so back to the dream, the whole thing, what we're talking about. So in this dream last night, I was like at this Red Cross convention. I don't know that they have them, but it was in a big stadium arena type thing. And I was checking in at the table and talking with this fella, and he tells me he's got this project for me. I'm like, okay, I'm not actively with the Red Cross, not sure why I'm here, but sure, give me a project. He had a project. The assignment was for me to develop a recovery plan and create the application process and all the steps that would follow through to allocate $30,000 to individuals for recovery.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. I mean, I'm
Yes.
living here in the Midwest. I mean, 30,000, that is more than the annual average income here, okay?
Mhm.
That's a ton of money. Can you imagine what you could do with that? And so this dream went on and on. It went on and on. And it was one of those you'd wake up and go, wow, that's a lot of money. And you'd fall back asleep and it's like, oh. and I would fall back to sleep and I'd pick the dream up right where I left off. And so through the course of the night, I figured out, well, how many people? I'm thinking, oh, $30,000, in today's economy, that's probably going to go to what, 3, 5 families. No, I finally decided it is for 60 to 70 individuals to receive this $30,000. What a sense of rebuilding that you could help 60 to 70 people with $30,000 to help them rebuild. I had no idea what the disaster was. I never decided what that was. But this was a sense of duty. It was overwhelm. It was curiosity. I'm like, okay, what brings this dream? Well, the last couple of weeks have been a very, very busy individual. We've had Friendsgiving the week before Thanksgiving. So there was getting my house ready, that annual cleaning. You have a party at your house to make sure your house is really clean. Yeah, that's that's one of the tactics. Anyway, and that went off without a hitch. Created some deeper friendships there. Last week, I was called to be an advocate for a family member at the hospital. So I spent a lot of time at the hospital. And let me tell you, that was draining. I'm good at it. So I was there and I was helping. I was doing the best I could to help this person in what they needed at the time. And so I got lots of thank yous and came home, did traditional Thanksgiving with immediate family. And then we had a snowstorm hit. So I've been drained. I've just been emotionally drained. And I went to bed last night because I didn't know what I was going to talk about today with that assignment of give me a topic. Let me know what I'm supposed to do. And this is what I had. So when I look at pulling this dream apart a little bit more, the Red Cross, that's my call to action, my call to movement, to step in to help. And usually with that, it was more of that crisis functioning that I did for so much of my life is, helping people in crisis. And so being reactivated to that call, $30,000, that I'm going to take that as what the value of my healing is. That when people work with me, and I know when I was first setting my rates as a healer, it's like, oh, well, I just, I could, and it's like, no, people are getting a lot of healing good from me in a short period of time. And I look at how much I've invested in my training and what I do. But when you look at that, Andy, what do you think of, the value of what you do in healing and helping people in their longevity?
I think a lot of people don't put value in the things they don't know is important. But I really want to clarify something because you said 30 years ago, it was $300 per person. That was
That was
allocate.
still only about 10 years ago when I left the Red Cross.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about $30,000 per person, not. Wow. That's some tremendous value in that dream. And I think a lot of people, once they start realizing the things that they need rather than the things that they want, right? Because we just had Thanksgiving, Black Friday sales, and me and men didn't do too much shopping on Black Friday. We went to watch a movie, and of course, we forgot that the theater's in a shopping mall, and it took us 20 minutes just to get a parking space to watch a movie, and no one's watching movies, everyone's shopping. But it was sort of insane of all the bags people were buying. And I know it's on sale, but like I said, is that of value that actually improves your life? And I think that's where people don't understand is we only got one life, right? And a lot of people, we don't think about what are we investing in ourselves, right? And a lot of people think, well, that's into your relationship, that's into your job. But what are you investing in yourself for your health, right? And it comes to what you don't know. Sometimes you do need the guidance of people to help you break through what you know. And people don't realize the amount of training that we as coaches get, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. I think a lot of us coaches, we're, when we first start, we're afraid of that imposter syndrome. And then we got all these certifications and it's like one after another. And at what point it's like, well, when is it enough? And to be honest, I think even without a certification, from all the stuff that we learned, right? There are so many people of the value of life of what we're learning, but even the stuff that we're doing ourselves, that is tremendous value that we can bring to a lot of people. So, for what you're talking about, $30,000 that you're offering for health and wellness and mindset, I think that's a bargain for what people need nowadays, to be honest.
It is. It is. I know as a theta healer, I often offer shorter packages because I
Hmm.
know in the beginning when my coach told me, "Oh, you need 6 or 9 months of healing," I'm like, "I am not that messed up."
Yes.
That was how I took it, and so I want people to do whatever they feel that they need to do with me.
Mhm.
So yes, I have a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month plan. I've got them. I've got the
Mhm.
plans. You just call me up. Let me know what you want to work on. But and then in this, when I was talking through this dream this morning, I felt that I was saddled with the
Mhm.
weight of coming up with this plan. 60 to 70 people. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a lot of people to encompass with one
Yes.
plan, one program, one
Mhm.
set of rules. But that's also the task that we take on as coaches.
Yes.
We take that weight and that responsibility. And I think I speak for, well, I know I speak for myself. I think I speak for you and a lot of the coaches.
Mhm.
There are cookie cutter programs out there, but those aren't ours. We're going to
Yes.
detail those to what it is you need and checking in, and we have that high touch part of it. So, and then the other thing in the dream that wasn't clear is what was the disaster?
Mhm.
I mean, it didn't. I mean, yeah, I don't know what it was, but I think that that talks to that whole unseen trauma, that personal
Yes.
upheaval that we have, that we don't know what's necessarily going on. And
Mhm.
so I think that's where it applies to all of us. We are all recovering from something, even if the world doesn't see what it is specifically.
Correct.
So putting it into some steps here, let's talk about like 3 steps. First of all, we have to acknowledge that there is a disaster.
Mhm.
And we don't want to say that. We use the word trauma so much, but I think it's a
Correct.
disaster. Healing doesn't happen without you having some really honest soul searching stuff here. What are you recovering from? A
Mhm.
lot of my clients come in and they're like, "Oh, I want to deal with this. I want to deal with that." And it's like, "Okay, sure. Let's start there." And what we find is that we get so much deeper that that trauma on the surface is coming from so much history and so many limiting beliefs and the things that set you up for this. And so a lot of clients, they don't know exactly what it is they're coming in to work with me on, but they know they want something different. They know what they no longer want. And so I
Correct.
think, that's the disaster. I'm not living like this anymore. That was my wake up call. I'm done living like this. And so then step 2 is take the responsibility. When you feel saddled with this burden in life, it's time for doing some healing. And there's really a lot of sacred power in choosing to
Mhm.
start. People say, how do you start this? It's like, how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
One bite at a time, no matter
Yes.
how big your project is. I mean, Andy, when you launch the magazine, when you've launched the membership, you've launched your program, everything that we do that we launch, we
Mhm.
start one step at a time. How you pull together all the courses, how we do everything.
Exactly. I
It
love
it
that.
it starts with that courage to begin, and that's what it takes. It takes a lot of courage to say I'm done.
Mhm.
And figure out how you're gonna take that first bite. But you gotta have the courage to acknowledge that you need to do something else. And so that's where you're gonna define your worth. Think about if you had $30,000, there would be rules, somebody would be overseeing it, of course. Nothing's completely free. What is your healing worth to you? Your
Mhm.
peace, your power, your clarity. So name it. What is it you want to do with that $30,000?
I love that. I love that.
I think it's really, really powerful. And if we look at it from like with Candace McKim and the manifestations and all of those things, if we're looking at this as a manifesting dream and that I have the ability to create a program that has the value of $30,000, and we're not going to get into the sales techniques. It's $30,000, but you get it today for $500. We're not going there. We're not going there. But if you had the power to produce that as a program and to work with 60 or 70 people, say over the course of the year, how awesome is that? You know, and how many people who's going to be those 60 or 70 people, and how are they stepping forward? So that brings us into the whole healing part, because my story kind of went long today. My apologies. I think it was a good story though. It's real. So let's just take a nice deep grounding breath, breathing all the way in down to your toes, and let that breath go. Breathe out that disaster as we name it. And so maybe close your eyes for this next deep breath and envision yourself. Imagine, know what it feels like to receive $30,000 of healing. Where are you going to use this? What does it feel like to rebuild from a fully restored place? Gotta feel good. So let's put in some healing stuff here. I think that so many of us, we function in lack and we think there's not enough to go around. So the idea of 30,000 for 60 or 70 people, that's a lot to go around. And that is how abundance works. There is plenty to go around. So I want to remove the obligation that we have to work and live in lack. When you go to the grocery store and there's only 2 cans of soup left, take them both. If you need them, take them both. Don't leave it. Go in and take what you want. So let's download what it feels like to have abundance, that there is always more. We're going to download that you know what it feels like to step into your healing and become recovered from this disaster or trauma as we identify it. And we don't have to know what it is, but we're going to know what it feels like to feel recovery, to feel whole. And let's download what prevents you from knowing what your next step is, how you're going to take that first bite, one bite at a time. And let's also download that nothing is too big. No dream is too big. No aspiration is too big. Those big, audacious goals that we set, and let's set them. If you'd like those, just say yes.
Yes.
We're going to provide that forgiveness work in there as well and allow you to really step forward and claim your 30,000. And if you're catching this on the replay, definitely just say yes. Do hashtag replay and yes in the comments as well so that you get that energy. Because your story, it's not a setback. It's a step up. If this message stirred something in you and you're ready to create your own recovery plan, download or put in the messages rebuild, and we've got something beautiful that can really support your healing in real time. Know that you are worthy of rebuilding with divine support, even if you can't name that storm. You've survived enough. Now let's rise. How's that feeling, Andy?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I love it.
So, and this dovetails in really nicely with tonight's Chronic Health Collective with Kelly, our No Fear coach. And she is going to be talking about taking care of yourself first to fill up your cup, give from overflow, not from the energy you need just to function. And that's a huge thing. So it's gonna be awesome. This will be at 7 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock East, or no, 7 o'clock Central,
Central.
on the Chronic Health Collective, on E360 TV. And then I also have the Holiday Sanity Workshop coming up. That will be on Friday, December 12th at 6:15. This one is an in-person over in Mount Pleasant at the Holistic Gypsy to dispel the stresses of holiday and kind of get a better handle on that. And I think that Sarah at the Holistic Gypsy, she's going to have a special add-on for us that night too, a gift for the holidays. So definitely catch up with us there. You can purchase your ticket at amandabethhealing.com/sanity. And look forward to seeing you all tonight on the Chronic Health Collective at 7. And of course, we'll be back again next week with something for Transformation Tuesday. Always feel free to subscribe and give me any suggestions of what you'd like to hear me talk about. Or if you've got questions, I'd love to answer questions.
All right, sounds good. And I just pop your link tree on there for everyone to get a hold of you, because I know there's multiple ways of getting hold of you. And for those 60 to 70 people out there, $30,000 worth of value to improve your health and wellness and your sanity. I think that is some amazing value. And we just need to acknowledge, that not everyone is being normal having trauma, right? It's like,
No.
you have to acknowledge
Well,
it.
it's normal to experience trauma.
Mhm.
It's not normal to live in it. It's not
Yes.
normal to allow it to define you. It's not normal to continue to react to it.
Exactly.
So there is healing, and everything that you do for you is an investment in the one life that you have.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for today. I think this is perfect timing. The holidays, from all the stressful eating and stressful shopping everyone did over the weekend.
Well, and you
so-
talked about the shopping, and people feel, I mean, I was guilty of surfing. I didn't make purchases, but it's that mass consciousness. It's a sale, it's a sale, it's a sale.
Yes.
Well, when you go to some of those stores, some of the stores that always offer everything at less than cost, but they still manufacturers
Mhm.
suggested retail price. I never pay that. Of course, I owned a retail store, so I'm never going to pay retail on anything.
Right.
But it's a mind game, and
Yes.
we have been just so pushed and driven to participate. And yeah, I'm pulling back that membership card. I don't need that hustle and bustle and that craziness. I don't need it. I got enough on
Exactly.
my own plate.
I love it. Thank you for today, Amanda.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate you being here.
Sounds good.